I'm in 2 universities and 2 lands. I'm philologist, philosopher, landscape architect, and urbanist, gradually, chronologically. So what I will deal today on, I will deal with different dimensions. So I will tell story, and in between I will wove this story with the a bit theory and a bit history. So in 2000, these 2 ladies, Jane Hillary and Roxby, in their book, Habits, A Sense of Place, said that these notions like public good, sustainability, development, resilience are the metaphors, and how they say they are empty signifiers, ready-made notions, and these metaphors are working on a very abstract level, and on the very abstract level of theories, they are also being empty signifiers, as they say. They impel some certain direction and empower to move in certain direction. However, if the idea is dropping from these above abstract tops to down, the process of demetaphorization is happening. So you understand that the policy, the theoreticians are bringing, philosophers like Sasha and philosophers and planners, theoreticians are bringing ideas. Yeah, they figure out what is sustainability and so on and so on. And then this is incarnated in policy by the administration, the higher echelon of administration. Then it comes to the administration and bureaucracy on the national levels, and then it drops on the ground. On the ground, then the question, at which moment and why does the act of the metaphorization happen? And what prescribes success or failure of the idea in the action on the ground? Action on the ground, and actually on all levels, is very complex. As is interaction or interplay or relationships between agency, culture, structure, and institution. How to deal with that and what to do, what we are doing, what all of us are doing. We are doing urban project, right? Landscape architect. Urban project, we used to think that is drawing, design, nice things, but actually urban projects are complex knowledge production. Yeah, and the interesting that mostly this knowledge is verbally hardly expressible. This is tacit knowledge. The urban projects are different from all urban practices with one thing or 2 things. Yeah, the first one is their object is speciality. Yeah. And subject also speciality. And because the language of space is essentially non-verbal, the whole process is influenced by that. And what we are doing is very hard to, very often to express in words. As a case study, I will speak today about one project in Riga, that is public space in front of the Riga castle, that is the beginning of the city. It's since 13th century were transformed maybe each 20 years until today, had very different shapes and different years. And it was, you see that it was surrounded in the 17th century with the water, and today it is like that. And today this space is cutted by the, it is actually in the periphery, it is just lawn and cutted by the bridge in the north. That is the presidential Castle Square, actually, yeah. So, the contest for Castle Square was launched 2008, because of the letter of the president, which in the connection with the renovation of the castle, wanted to improve also the square. You see the words that is what important in this word, that he takes on himself responsibility about the castle. So the national level takes financial organizational responsibility on the national level, and the public space he asked to do by the municipality, by city, and you see all these stems. You can imagine that all possible agreements were reached and the contest were launched. And if we are looking back at this process, we can see the three stages or three phases that is collateral, which was meant to establish this need to bring changes in this place. It took the stages of initiation, then elaboration and project definition, launch and contest, and also the first very enthusiastic collaborative steps which team of designers took. The next stage was the stage of elaborating of sketch project and technical project, which this stage ended with the crash, you see, and after these breaking points, I will speak about later, it went in the latent phase, which that is not withdrawn, but this until today it is very slow. Why has, the question is, this very high initiative not reach the set up goal, having the most of necessary condition to achieve it? Yeah, that was joint political will. We can't say that this was not interest in public spaces. The institution mills allocated financing were to use. And in the beginning, on this beginning, this is two first phases, this is 2 years, there were no protests, open protests from the inhabitants. So I will not repeat all these things about the history. You already know that Riga also, like Prague, maybe had to transit from the industrial type of social city into the extended post-industrial agglomeration. But two things. I'm sorry. I just, yeah. Three things to be mentioned. One, that is what happened with our mental landscape in this transition period. We were not able, nobody, and also professional, we were not able, where is water? There is no water. So we were not able to start to deal with a new condition of wild, free market economy and very strong neoliberal. The social landscapes and social practices were changed completely. There are some structural changes which will be interested in the further occurred. That is the change in structure of planning institutions. In Soviet time, Riga had two institutions. One is responsible about planning, another one responsible about the projects. Yeah? After the big fall, another one, which was busy with the project, was closed, and the planning institution was transferred in development department who had to deal with the new challenges. However, the structure, and it is possible to see on the website even, they kept the structure of this Soviet institution inside. So, the architects, another reason, there were strong planners in Riga, but on the moment of, in 90s, they were not anymore there, because they started in 60s. And in this moment, they reached the retirement age. That is one, and the another one, they were not skilled to deal with the new tribe of urban actors, yeah, the new type of politicians and real estate developers, which were absolute antipodal to them. So, on architects were fed by the modernism, by the rational planning model and aestheticization of the form, and thus you see the first developments, the projects, yeah, they were made by the real estate developers and architects. They created nice spaces without thinking about any other dimension. The public space of old Riga is mirroring all these processes. And interesting that in 90s, Riga, you see on this image above, that is 50s, and here also the old Riga was open for traffic, for the cars. In 90s, can you imagine, on this wave of national Renaissance, the old Riga was closed, all streets were done like one level designed, and it was closed for cars. Since that, nothing happened in the center. Everywhere happened. In the whole the world happened the rearrangement of the spaces. The Estonia and Lithuania are very strong ahead of Riga. You see that is in the Gediminas Prospect in Vilnius. That is the new Freedom Square in Tallinn, and also very nice intervention in public space in the old center of Tallinn. In order to answer this question, me and my professors, we found very useful concepts. That is concept of habitus of Pierre Bourdieu. Who doesn't know him, please note, read, and after reading him, I understood everything. So I will try to explain what he says. It's better to read him in a native language because it is very difficult to read him. In French. He wrote in French, but nearly in all languages this is available. Yeah, because he died in the end of 90s, and now he is increasing in popular. And the first book, what I mentioned, Habitus, Sense of Place, actually in the first global try to apply his concept in urban planning and design. So, what is habitus? Habitus is structured structures which are disposed also being structuring structures. So, it means that they also produce practices and dispositions. And habitus is constituted in practice. He is rooted, incarnated in praxis. The interesting that habitus has some attributes. They're very important. It's very stable. I would even say it is viscous. It is transitive. It is able to organize and to produce practices. Very important thing, it is unconscious. So it means that it is targeted, it has goal, but he somehow doesn't require the skills in order to achieve this goal. And he has no one regisseur, he has no one leader. Yeah, it is collectively governed. It follows the rules and the orders objectively, but he doesn't reply as an automat. The stimuli, they are coming outside in habitus, has to be recognized by agents. Agents, that is all human and non-human beings. Also, so they have to be recognized. A bit to our case. I try to understand, to answer the question what I already put before, and you remember I said that the institution who had to deal with this incarnation of this order, this high initiative, On the ground was the planning institution. This planning institution was 50 years more used to make plans, not places. And that is why, although it was requested to make place, they made the process went through the traditional process, yeah, and already they did the habitus what they created. This is everyday practice of this planning office on planning. This is not tradition. I will use from now the word habitus. The stimuli were not recognized by the involved agents. And already in project definition for competition, some things were encoded, which later led to the crash. There's a history, the big discussion about history, the big discussion about column, center, there is not. Then about traffic, it is very interesting in the project definition. It was written that the traffic has to be diverted from the square acoustically, visually, and compositionally. Colleagues, there is 1.9 hectares. Yeah, it is cutted. That is a bridge you have seen. Yeah, and it is a road in between. So there is not possible to, if you want to do it, you have to remove the traffic. And the question by the participants came, and the answer was, no, you have to keep traffic. Yeah, so there were a lot of things which were not answered also already in that stage, and trees and flags. Yeah, they are preserved 100-year-old tilias from the first competition 100 years ago. They are overgrown, they are in bad condition, but they are people are attached to them. So, and this question became the breaking point. How many times I have? 5 minutes, I will finish, yeah. Became the breaking point which actually stopped project from active phase in the latent phase. That is our images. Now, after 1 year, if the commission signed down that the trees, some trees have to be removed, this public discussion, we were speaking about the involvement, the public discussion were organized, where these two things, koku ciršanas and pils laukums. Koku ciršana about metaphors, yeah, that is cutting of the trees. You know that today we don't cut the trees with the, yeah, we use the Bosch, yeah, but officially there are, this word is to use, which presumes to have this old instrument by cutting trees and pils laukums. And it resulted really in a semi-scale scandals. You see that 95% inhabitants said no. And this is very funny citation. It's huge amount of publication where that Environment Protection Club, we have this kind of club, they suggest to plant in the middle of Christmas tree in order to have a national symbol as a green tree, not a paved cutting. So. Another piece of theory is practical vault, according to Bourdieu, is vault of already achieved goals. Yeah? And in this process is very important to decode the code. You know this fairy tale, Sesame, open. Yeah? You have to know this code, but to accept this code is extremely difficult, because if you are entering habitus, nobody tells you about that. Yeah, nobody tells you how to deal in this situation, which skills are required. And you know everybody from your own experience at work, and if you are entering a new environment, to get access to unwritten rules is very difficult. So in our case, officially involved stakeholders were not they had no experience with communicative practices. You know that communicative turn started in the 70s and went viral in 80s, and now emotional turn and affective turn is on the wave. So they didn't know how to do it. They had no practice. They had knowledge about it. It was a huge amount of workshop in Riga until that moment, but they didn't have practice. So, and the act of recognition, as I already said, is not supported by habitus. So, and when winning team, actually multi-international team started to act, they had already strong experience in collaborative practices. But they had not experience in these rational planning model practices. And if they started to act, they started to go directly in these habitus, and they were rejected. So the communicative program, they have written 3 or 4 times what to do and tried to speak with the authorities, but it was not possible. At the end, the old Russian planning model habitus actually was confronted with this young communicative planning habitus, which has no status or had no position. However, he had desire and activity of his agent. So what? I said two habituses. Yeah, so maybe somebody recognized this reference. I hope the situation looks like this today. And this confrontation, of course, was not only negative. It created new experience, approximated the views, positions, and actually started to create the new habitus. So to say that this dance of habituses in the Castle project was very cool, it's not to say the truth. It fully involved game of power, absolutely different range and kind of emotion, from open, explained and shouting till not expressed very hidden hating. But what it is about? It is about that. It is about different dimensions, what you say. So if we are speaking about urban practices, which are the rituals, we have to think about the roots of these practices, which are our emotions and affects. And these 3 theories, I think, is very useful to deal with these roots. It is cognitive appraisal of emotions combined with theory of social identity, and theory of territoriality, concept of territoriality from human geography. Also, recently is developing like psychological territoriality. That is something about this this concept of territoriality. The concept of social identity explains the way how groups of stakeholders categorize themselves during the project procedure, shaping themselves into communities. I think each landscape architect recognizes this situation. And cognitive appraisal of emotions is combined with the social identity theory, provides methodology to handle collective emotions on their impact on the run of the projects.
Maybe I missed it from your presentation, but how long did this experience, this process last?
I'm very sorry. Yeah, these 3 stages are different in time. They are different in goals, in the number of stakeholders, of actors, of agents, in the intensity of involvement of these stakeholders, and also in mood. The first phase lasted 19 months. The second, 13, and the latent phase, already 24 months. Yeah.
It's really interesting in this cutting trees theory, because exactly the same thing is happening here. People are just afraid of cutting trees. I don't know why is that. Maybe it's because we are afraid of our mortality. And if we see something we are attached to, we are used to, if we see it dying and getting away, we kind of feel like we are mortal. And, you know, because I was thinking of that, why do we all want to have the Christmas tree in the middle of the squares? It's happening worldwide, I don't know why.
In Latvia, trees and especially trees are sacred. Yeah, the 30% of Latvian surnames are connected with the trees, bushes, and so on and so on and so on. So the people in every day are ready to cut all the trees near their houses, but if suddenly it comes in open about the trees and somebody cuts somewhere some tree, open, hidden, it is half Riga is cut it, yeah. But if it is open, then the people start to hang themselves on the trees and dying and saying no, 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 no. Yeah, that is green conservatism. We know what is it. Yeah, but in Riga, that is especially. Yeah, because in around castles where nobody lives, there are only institutions. So actually, the people speak on these trees, so they are not so much connected. But if it comes with the cutting trees, pils laukums, that everybody started to say, no, no, again the trees. Yeah, I mean, that is also this play with the people, social identities, and I think that in Soviet time it was done very good and very targeted, and I think that the market economy management, banks, financial sector is doing that today very good, and I think it is time for us, urban planners and designers, to put out our sergeant gloves and start to deal with this. You said, Jan, that manipulation, you said that the manipulation, I mean it positively, yeah? So we have to start to mean manipulation positively and start to understand what drives the people, what are the underlying processes, and urban sociology is very good. It is horizontal dynamics, but urban psychology should be combined with theories of urban planning and design, because it is about this dimension and about this dimension. Because everything about love.